Good morning. If you see the mess that is in front of me with all the things that I've been working on, you're going to understand really the state of mind that I'm in at the moment and have been in the past couple of weeks since I last recorded. It's been I don't know, it's been everything is okay. It's been a difficult couple of weeks. Everybody was ill, not here, but my brother-in-law and my father. My brother-in-law was not well, and also my father was in the hospital. In fact, the day after I posted the last video, my dad ended up going to the hospital, and he came out only 2 days ago. So we're gonna go now to see them. And we're gonna go to my parents for lunch. But it's been really kind of like everything was a blur, because the first couple of days, the first 3 or 4 days, well, he was really bad, because then after he started recovering. However, because he's of his age, and also because he's a stroke patient for 15 years now, they kept him in order to finish the whole round of treatment of all the antibiotics and so forth. But the first 3 or 4 days, he was really not well. So my mom would take the day shift. She would be there all day long with him. And then I would take the night shift and I would go there. And because you see, such an amazing thing with brains. I mean, my dad, when he had a stroke, yes, his right side of the body was affected, but he used to be a fluent English speaker. But however, after the stroke, he lost English. He still understands it, but he cannot speak English, which is really strange, because he's able to speak Serbian with difficulty, but he's able to speak Serbian. However, English, he lost that, but he does understand it. So when Mario communicates with him, Mario talks to him in English, my dad understands, and then my dad answers in Serbian, and then Mario tries to understand a bit here and there, even though he doesn't speak the language, but being together for so long, you know, he can kind of understand the gist of the conversation, and if he doesn't, he asks me, and so they communicate like that. But not only because my dad was so not well, his fever was 40 at one point, and he wasn't even hot on the head, so you wouldn't really know when he has the fever, except he would have these shivers. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but needless to say, somebody needed to be there for him, for his sake, and also in order to communicate with the hospital staff in case he needs anything, because he wouldn't be able to do it in English. So that was the first 4 nights. And then after that, I didn't need to go there in the night anymore, but I was more or less on standby. So I didn't really record anything to show you. I don't have a vlog, but I was making a lot of things. So I decided for this episode to kind of like bring everything that I've been working on here and just quickly show you like a roundup of everything. And then maybe after that, then start going through like one by one in future episodes, and then start showing you what I'm making with these things, whether it's purchases or you'll see what I mean. Another thing that I was thinking about is before I sat down to record, this is the first time that I'm sitting and recording on the couch since we lost Jake. And if you don't know, Jake was our cat that we had for 13 years. And he was a staple in these videos, especially when I record here on the couch. He was always around me. And it hit me really hard, but it's about 2 months now, and I think I'm finally, you know, I was avoiding to sit on the couch. It was too painful to sit here and him not being here. But now I think I'm ready. And instead of telling you of the sad things about him, I wanted to tell you how we found him, how he came into our life. And Mario went to, that was, as I said, that was around Mario's 40th birthday. So, my goodness. So that was 13, 14 years ago almost. And Mario went to one DIY shop, and he saw in front of the shop in the corner a kitten still blind, so his eyes were still closed like this, curled up in the sun. And you can't survive. Not only the kittens cannot survive on their own like this, but in this heat here you can't. So he went inside the shop and he goes, what's the deal with the kitten? And they said, look, the mother was there, but she left yesterday, and she took one kitten from what I remember, and she left him there, and he's been like that from yesterday. So Mario called me and he said, can I bring him home? Can you try to save him? Of course. And because when they're so small, even if you do everything right, because you have to feed them. I was feeding him with half evaporated milk, that condensed milk from a can, half water, and I was feeding him on a syringe. You have to do that every 3 hours. And then after that, because usually their mom licks them afterwards, and she would lick their bum as well to kind of make their intestines start working. So because you're feeding them like that, then I would take wet paper and then rub his bum as if simulating that his mom was licking him, so he can go to toilet. Otherwise, they get poisoned and they pass away. But even if you do everything right, there is still very little chance that they are going to survive. But I was doing that, and from the very beginning, he really wanted to eat, and he was like fighting for his life. And about a week after that, because they opened their eyes around 2 weeks old. So we got him while he was still, like this, like a little rat, and still blind. His eyes were still closed. About a week later, I fed him, and I did that with his bum, and then he went to toilet, and I put him like this right here on the couch, and I put him like this in front of me, and I was holding him in my hand, facing me. And I was talking to him, like, oh my God, you're so cute, and I love you, and whatever I was saying, I don't exactly remember. And as I was holding him like this, and he was right in front of me, and in that moment, one of his eyes just popped open like that, and the first thing that he saw was my face like that, just right in front of him. And ever since then, he was just always around me. So at the end of his life, I kind of made sure that the circle is complete. And when we were at the vet, I went lower and I stood in front of him like that for my face to be the last thing that he sees, because I was the first person that he saw. And now I can talk about it as a beautiful story. However, it was very, very difficult, and that's why I wasn't ready to talk about it. But I'll tell you what, he was one very, very lucky cat, and that Mario found him, that I managed to save him, and the love that he got while he was with us. And we were so lucky that he was in our life for so long, because he was an amazing cat.
Look, Mr. Drake eating. Look.
Duke is eating.
And look at Duke. Look at it. How cute.
So cute.
Are you recording?
Mm.
Huh? Look at Duke.
So now that you kind of know where I was and what's been going on for the past 2 weeks or so, let me show you everything that I've been working on. Okay, where do I start? I think I know where I'm going to start. The thing that I made a hat, and that's something that I made before these 2 weeks, but I never got the chance to show you. And I finished this hat. I showed you, I think, that I was working on it some months ago, but I never showed you a finished product. This is Regia 4-ply, but it's a bit thicker, and this is with yak. So I don't know the exact composition. I have other colors, but I think they're upstairs with with the ball bands to have, but I think this is the only, I think it might be the only regia yarn that contains yak. Don't take my word for it though. And it has nylon as well, so I think it can be used for socks as well. But I made a hat. I had one ball of this blue yarn, and I made a double layer hat. So I'll put it on for you. There you go. So now it's definitely not time for hats anymore. It's getting warm. I'm already in short sleeves. But now that I have shown you, I can kind of put it away for the winter. Whether I'm going to keep it for myself or save it as present, I'm not sure, because I do have 2 black hats that I wear, and I do like this color though, so we'll see. And I don't necessarily wear that many hats here, but I do like my black ones. Anyway, this one is finished and it's lovely. It's a very kind of nice sturdy fabric, but not, I mean it's soft, but it's sturdy, and I'm happy with how it turned out. In the meanwhile, I made another hat, but I gave it away to Mario's older brother who came from England. And yeah, that's another thing, that there was 2 funerals in the last week as well. I didn't go to one of them. I did go to the other with them, both of them from Mario's family, Mario's aunt and Mario's uncle as well. They both passed away, so it's been a whirlwind. But Mario's brother came over from England, and we were sitting at Mario's mom's house, and I was just finishing that hat, which was not going to be for him anyway. And he was sitting there, and as I finished the hat, I kind of did the crown. I sewed all the ends, and I was looking at it, and he was sitting there, and I said, try it on, and I put it on him, and it fit perfectly. So I said, take it. it's yours. He was just there, and I'm happy that I could give him, because we don't get together very often, because they live in England. And to his wife, to my sister-in-law, I sent that wrap that I made, the last wrap that I made, that I showed you some videos ago. It's from my hand spun yarn. I wove it with there is red and green and yellow in it as well, so it's kind of made like plaid. So I sent that with him to take to his wife. Okay, so that's where we started. Now, next, while I was I told you actually before that I might be going to Belgrade this summer. Well, now, I don't know if that's going to happen now, because my parents were supposed to leave now and stay there for a couple of months, and then Mario, me and the kids, we were supposed to go and meet them there towards the end of their stay, and all of us to come back together. That was more or less the point, so we can spend some time with them outside of Cyprus. But during the time that my dad was in the hospital, they missed their flight, and that was a non-refundable flight. So we don't know what's going to happen with that now, whether they're going to go or they're not going to go. We're going to discuss that. But also now our plans about going to Belgrade are a bit also shifted. We haven't booked anything. So I'm going to see how how my parents organize, and then we're going to, play along and see what we are going to do. But I was with the idea that I was going to go to Belgrade. I wanted to make 2 baby blankets for my cousins, well, their kids. And I started working on those. And during the time that I was spending at the hospital, being with my dad in the evening, I was working on one of them primarily, the crochet one, which I think I showed you the beginnings of. It's not finished, but there is not that much to go either. So I think I just have, so there will be these 2 white stripes in the middle and 3 sections of this blue. So 2 of them are done and a bit of the third one as well. And this is the yarn Lifestyle DK Tweed, something like that. I will link it, which is acrylic wool blend. I think it's about 75% acrylic, 25% wool, or 80-20, something like that. It's DK weight yarn, and I'm holding it with a strand of mohair. So I was working on this one during the evenings that I was there. However, when I came out, it had such a bad association for me not when I came out, but when I was not needed at the hospital anymore. This had such bad association for me, which it doesn't anymore, but in that moment it did. So I decided to put it aside and to start on the other crochet blanket that I was going to do. So the other one is, and they're both boys, the babies, they're both boys. So the other one that I'm making is, again, Lifestyle DK Tweed in this kind of robin's egg blue. And I'm holding it because I wanted a bit, the other one that I'm doing is on 4.5mm needle. So I wanted a bit thicker, not needle, crochet hook. So I wanted a bit thicker one, and this is 5mm. So I'm still holding it with the mohair that I'm doing for the other one, but I added a very thin white yarn that I have. I think this is acrylic, merino wool, cashmere and viscose, and I had quite a few of those, so I'm holding it with that, and this is how it's coming out. Again, it's going to be in, because I have 3 balls of the Lifestyle yarn, so I'm kind of making the same like with the other one, 3 sections of that with 2 sections connecting those 3 sections. So this is what I have so far. That is 1 ball of the Lifestyle DK, and then I have a bit thicker stripe because I think I needed to include a bit thicker stripe considering that it's a bit, the blanket is a bit wider, and I'm using a larger crochet hook. They're all single crochet, and now I'm working on the second blue, this blue-gray stripe. So now that the association of the other blanket is not anymore as bad as it was when I stopped going to the hospital. Now I don't really mind which I pick up. So I was working on the other one a bit the other day, then I was working on this one, so I don't really have a problem. But those are the 2 that are in progress. So the first one is almost done. So I think I'm going to work on this one first to kind of bring it to that place where the other blue one, the first one, is, and then I'm going to take the other one, finish it, but I don't know if we're going to go to Belgrade. So that's that. That's the story about the crochet blankets. Actually, it's not. Okay. I'm going to have to take a sip of coffee before I continue because I don't think I spoke like this. I mean, so much in the past 2 weeks. Okay. I told you that I finished Alex's crochet blanket that I was working over the winter. And but it was on his bed. However, he's in school now, so I took it off, and I didn't wash it and block it yet. And I do know that these blankets, when they are washed and blocked, they just kind of relax, and it does give something. But blocked, when I say blocked, I don't pin them or anything like that. I just wash them and I put them on a large table outside, and I let them dry like that. But that process of washing, it just relaxes all the stitches, all the knots in the crochet and the fabrics, and it just makes the blankets that much softer and more drapey. I didn't do that yet, but I will now when he stops using it, because we are not going to need it until next year. So let's see how I'm going to be able to show you this. I might have to get up on and stand on the couch. Okay, it's all in the shades of green, different yarns, combination of different yarns, shades of green with some browns and beiges and some black stripes. And that's how I wanted to incorporate these other colors as well. Okay, let me get up. So we have, this is where it starts. And yeah, that's where it ends. The reason why I know that this is the bottom is because this part here is actually acrylic yarn that I had very little of, and I didn't want to throw it, and it was the same weight as all the yarns that I was using. I mean, I would make, even if I was using thinner yarns, I would combine a few of them in order to get this kind of Aran weight. This was with 5mm hook. So I incorporated that as well. And this is the beauty about crochet blankets, especially if they are kind of this scrappy look, which I like, because you can really include everything and anything that you have. You can use up, as long as you choose the color palette that you have in mind of how you want the overall blanket to look. You will never know exactly what you're going to get, but that's the beauty of it. But as long as you choose kind of like the color palette that you want, and I would put everything in a basket of all those yarns, and then I would just be picking them more or less intuitively, but knowing that once it's all comes together, that it's going to come together nicely. So even with this acrylic yarn, as I said, so I can't tell you all the yarns what they are because I'm not sure. I think so. That one is acrylic. I think this was my hand spun. Then this green part here is Cascade 220, which I think the color was turtle, and I made a jumper in that, and this is what stayed. And then I held it with, I think it was green mohair, because I always hold mohair or alpaca, some kind of fluff through the blankets, just to kind of like connect everything together and close those gaps, because I don't necessarily like when blankets have too many holes. So I know that this was Cascade 220, and for the rest I really don't know. It was combination of hand spun, combination of different fingering weight yarns that I had, and I would hold them together. But yeah, that's the crochet blanket, Alex's crochet blanket that I didn't show you, and I wanted to for a while now. He likes it. He's happy with it, and he told me, because green is his favorite color, that's why I did it in green. But he told me that he actually likes, because they're marled and there are other colors that are in the blanket rather than just flat green. Okay, finished with crochet blankets. The next thing that okay, here. I was spinning, I made a blend of, you saw that a few videos ago. I made some bats for spinning, and initially I was going to put them for sale, but then I really liked them, so I kept them for myself. I didn't put them for sale, although I did promise you that I'm going to make some similar ones and put them in the shop. That still didn't happen, but I will do that. I didn't forget. And I got about 300 grams of single ply, and this is on the spool. So then I wanted to incorporate it, to ply it with another yarn in different color, commercial yarn. And I wasn't sure what I wanted. Do I go with gray? Do I go with mohair or alpaca? But then I thought I'll do burgundy. And I found some burgundy yarn that I had. And I didn't buy yarn for, well, I did now, which I'm going to show you the acquisitions, but I didn't buy yarn. It's been I don't think I bought yarn this year at all, and that was on purpose because I have a lot of yarn, and I wanted to start using what I have, as many people do as well, and they kind of make them even their resolutions. This was not a resolution, but it's something that I started doing in the house as well, like using toiletries and not buying new ones until I spend, I use up everything that I have, because I tend to accumulate stuff like many people do, without realizing. And then before I know it, it just kind of becomes something that gives me stress. So I decided, okay, the best way, rather than decluttering, the best way to do it is just not bring anything new in the house and while I'm using the old stuff. And as I run out of something, then of course I'm going to replace it. So it wasn't a strict no-buy period or no-buy year, but kind of conscious to not bring anything new in the house, use what you have, and then as I run out, I can replace it. So when I was looking for burgundy yarn, I actually found 3 different types of burgundy yarn, the same color that I had. So I have this drops alpaca in burgundy, like maroon. I had Malabrigo Merino, I think, and they're all like sweaters quantities. And I had this random yarn as well that I didn't know exactly what it was. So I decided to use that one up and ply it with that single ply that I showed you. So by plying it, I actually got a sweater's quantity just from one spool of the single ply. And this is what I got. I love this yarn. And I really want to start knitting with my handspun, because even from Vlogtober, some other handspun that I made, and I still didn't start using it. And after that, I made that one, which is kind of like mustard camely color as well, and I didn't use that one either. And now I have this one, and they're all sweaters quantities or even more. I really want to start doing that, because I have a lot of beautiful handspun yarn, and to tell you the truth, I actually enjoy knitting with it more so than with commercial yarn. It gives it a more of a tactile experience for me, especially because they're not perfectly, even, which I like. Not necessarily those large differences of very thick and thin, but these kind of like subtle, it just gives some other different feeling to the fingers. And I enjoy knitting with handspun yarn more. So that's in the plans, but I wanted to show you the finished product. So you can see all these kind of yellows and grays and whites going through, but the burgundy is tying everything together. Okay, we're going through this. The mosaic charts. The mosaic charts that I was working for some months now. I want to release, and it's not going to be a pattern. It's just going to be about 10 different charts for, I could do 20, but it would take me way too long to make all the samples. So, and also the price would have to be higher. So I decided I'm going to make smaller bundles, like 10 charts, but they're going to be basically 20 charts, because each of the unique charts is going to have 2 charts, which is with dominant color being, switching the dominant colors, really. So I'll just give you an example, because I finished all the samples. I'm not going to show you all the samples now, but I will show you that once I take the photos of them and once I release the charts. So these are all the samples that I made. So this is 10 different charts, but I'll show you what I mean by them being 20. Because when I make the chart, I kind of design like, okay, this is going to be the dominant color. And then I thought, oh, but what if I switch the colors around, what kind of effect I'm going to get. So then I would make another chart, so for the same kind of pattern, but different charts. And this is like, for example, so here this gray is the dominant color, and in this case I switch the colors around, so the lighter would be the background, and you get completely different looks. So I finished all the samples, finally, all the swatches, and I blocked them, and I have them here, and I'm happy with them. They're all 4-stitch repeats, because I wanted to do 4-stitch repeats only as a beginning bundle, because that way then you don't have to worry about your gauge and trying to make everything fit in your gauge. Whether you're knitting socks or hats or a jumper, you will always be able to use the chart in order to fit your gauge, because adding 4 stitches to a whole project is not an issue. So they're all 4-stitch repeats. And what I started doing, even though I have some other socks that I already made before using some of these charts, but I started making some samples of the socks using those charts. This one doesn't have the heel yet. This is just a tube. I have to cut in the heel, but this is one of them. And then I stripe the bottom, and then I'm going to cut the heel, and I'm going to make a new one. But what I want to do once I release that bundle, I want to have like one extra maybe chart. You see, I'm telling you this now, and I can't change my mind if that's the case. But okay, so I might have, let's say, those 10 charts or 20, however way you look at it, and then have one extra one that is going to be a bit more complicated. Not necessarily 4-stitch, this one that I'm working on is 16-stitch repeat. And I made a sock using that one. And I'm working on the second one now. I will show you all these more in detail once I release the PDF, the bundle of the charts. Right now they're not ready, but I did finish these samples, and that was a lot of work, because I was knitting in the round, so they're double-sided, all of them, and so basically that's 20 different swatches in mosaic stitch, and I did 64 stitches in the round for each one of them. And that was a lot of work, and I'm happy I'm done with that. And now that I have them, I can always later on, when I'm designing something that I want to knit, I can always refer to that and just kind of look which one I would think that would go well with that project and use it. I didn't make any samples in garter stitch, so I didn't make any samples in flat mosaic, but I think they show up better like this. And another sock that I've been working from before, it's the last of my hand-dyed yarn that I did with food coloring that I have. So the yellow part, this is commercial. I think that's Drop Snort Black. And this here is my hand-dyed, I just used yellow food coloring. So this is the tube that's finished, and now I'm working on the second one. And that's going to be the last of my hand-dyed yarn. I might experiment more later. I want to try to do a fade. I have to see how I'm going to do that. But that's as far as the socks are concerned. I have some other beautiful sock yarns that I want to use. One in particular is from Camijo Knit. And Camilla, if you are not watching her, you really should. She's a lovely, lovely person from Denmark. And I met her in Barcelona, and I consider her my friend now. Apart from being such a lovely person, but she's a very talented dyer. I love her colors. And when we were in Barcelona, she gave me one of her sock sets, because what she does, has on pre-order, I think, her advent calendars for this year. But what she does, every month she has a sock set which every year is based on something different. I think it was mushrooms last year, then it was sea creatures. The one that I got, it was based on Danish birds. And she gifted me that when I went to Barcelona. So the main skein was this, which I have, as I was winding it, divided it in two, because in two parts. So I know that I'm gonna have two equal parts, whether I make two pairs of socks or whatever. But this is the main one. How pretty. This is just really, really beautiful, subtle, elegant. I just love it. And this came with two mini skeins. One was in this orange, which definitely would go with that. And the other one, which is again, I divided it into two pieces. It was this. So I would like to knit socks with this yarn. Now, I don't necessarily like superwash yarn, especially not for socks. The reason being is that it's not just superwash, but fingering. We get really cold here in the winter. And I know it's counterintuitive because it's Cyprus. It shouldn't get that cold. But in other countries where the weather is cold, you guys have heating, you have different isolation, you have different flooring. Here, our houses, they have no insulation. The heat, the houses are designed to keep the heat out and not in. We have tiles everywhere. So during the winter, it's like our feet and inside the house, we get really cold. So fingering weight yarn for socks, especially if it's superwash, really doesn't do anything for me. It's like I need to make mine like, you know, sport weight minimum and not superwash, or DK. You know, I usually use fingering with mohair and stuff, and then those are okay. I never made bulky ones, but those sport or DK, I'm fine with those. However, I cannot resist this yarn. It is just so beautiful. And then I was thinking, oh, do I maybe use another yarn and stripe it with this and make like a garment? I don't know, but I think I'm going to make socks with this one and use really, really thin needle. Like for this one, I actually use, because my gauge, I'm quite a loose knitter. So for fingering weight yarn, my needles are 1.75 millimeter thickness. I have never heard anybody use that size on any of the podcasts. But for my fingering weight yarn for the socks, I use 1.75 millimeter needle. So if I make it like that, then, you know, and have it more compact, and just use them maybe, you know, like when I go out in shoes rather than here in the house. But I can't resist this colorway. It's just really beautiful and really my style. So that's the plan for the socks. And the last thing I want to show you is I did order some yarn, and Lovecrafts had because I did an order for so many months. He had some very special offer. I don't remember what special offer was, but I decided to order some yarn, try some new one, and order some that I know that I'm going to use. This is Cascade Heritage. This is not what I ordered now. This is what I had from before. And I already made one red turtleneck with 3/4 or even short sleeves, holding Cascade Heritage, which is a superwash sock yarn. However, I love it for jumpers. And I held that red one that I had two skeins of Cascade Heritage, and I held it with a strand of cobweb cashmere. And I was able, from those two skeins, to make a turtleneck raglan with they're not even 3/4, they're like longer short sleeves, just below my elbow. So I have two more of those, which are limestone, but those were from before. And then I wanted to order a purple one, also in Cascade Heritage, as well as burgundy. but not thinking I wanted to order three skeins of those, so I know that I can make like a proper size jumper. So this is Cascade Heritage again that I got in this wine color, and I plan to make a jumper out of that. I think this is going to look good on me, this color. And then I got again 3 skeins out of this, I don't remember exactly, I think this was called dark plum or Italian plum or something like that. It's color 5605, and it's this kind of aubergine color. So I got 3 skeins of that, and that is going to be enough, even if I don't hold it with anything else, to make a jumper out of that. I like this color. I was not a purple person for such a long time, and then in the past year or so I just really like it. And Selma from Little Big Knits, also in Barcelona, she brought me 1 skein from Sonder yarn, which is this kind of aubergine eggplant color, which I'm yet to incorporate into one of my projects. But when I saw that color and I put it next to my face when Selma got it for me, I was like, ooh, there is something about this. And then somehow I started gravitating towards these darker purples. So that's also what I got. And I got just 1 skein of this one because on the website I wasn't sure which purple I'm going to like better, and I'm happy for a garment that I got the other one. But I got a 1 skein of this, which is also just very, very nice. It was only 1 skein available anyway, but it's good to have as a sample. And if I don't decide to get more of it, this is colorway 5632. So I'm going to put links in the description, but I think when I put the link, I think you have to go through the colors by yourself, because the link is for the yarn and then the colors are there to choose. I can't put the link to specific color because they don't have their own separate pages. It's 1 page for Cascade Heritage, and then all the colors are there that you could choose from. So, but this one is also really, really nice. So I'm thinking, would that look, which one do you think would look better on me? Anyway, I have this now for a garment, and this one I have 1 skein. So I'm not planning to order any more now, but this is what I have. And then I wanted to try Cascade Merino DK. And I got this, this is very muted dark green, and I got four skeins of these. I wanted to try it. However, when I touched it, it didn't feel as soft, even though it says it's 100% merino. I think it's 100% merino. But it really didn't, 100% merino. It really did not feel as I expected it to feel. It wasn't this buttery soft as merino is, but it's kind of more dry, more like Cascade 220. However, it's really nice. It's not scratchy at all, even though it's not that buttery soft and drapey. I don't know if it's drapey, I didn't start knitting with it. But once I put it on the skin, it's not scratchy at all. So I got 4 of those, which is again enough for a garment. And I'll let you know once I start working with it, what my thoughts are. This is what I plan to do, because I also got some crochet hooks in this order. I got some Rowan crochet hooks, 2.5mm and 3mm, and I didn't work with them yet, so I never tried Rowan. So I got some of those, and so what I'm thinking, maybe as I start working with these new yarns and with crochet hooks, maybe like make shorter dedicated videos to that yarn or to that project, or as like reviews, but more through the actual project. So we'll see. I think that's the plan. So now I just kind of dumped it all on you, everything I've been working on, everything I got, so I know that I don't miss anything, and then maybe start organizing myself more from the coming videos and start picking up one thing and focusing on that, and then continuing with the vlogs as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you're well, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.